On the right over here we have whole wheat kernels. Then as we go to the left, the bulgur will be finer and finer ground. This is a very coarsely ground, dark coarse bulgur from Turkey. Here is like a medium coarse bulgur, then medium to fine, and on the left you will see a very finely ground bulgur. So normally for Boza we use a medium kind of bulgur, but you can use the other ones too. Anything from finely ground bulgur to coarse bulgur. And the thing to know about bulgur is it's pre-cooked cracked wheat. It's not just normal wheat kernels, it's prepared in advance. So here we have millet. Millet is another grain that's used for Boza. And in our recipe we use 1 cup millet and 1 cup bulgur wheat. First we put in the millet. Now you see the bulgur, and we're gonna put in some bulgur wheat as well. The bulgur cooks very quickly. I mean, you could basically just add some hot boiling water on this bulgur and it will already soften the bulgur. It needs very little actual cooking, but the millet does need some cooking, like around half an hour or so. Bulgur is pre-cooked, but millet is not pre-cooked. Then we're adding around 8 glasses of water, or let's say 8 cups of water. A cup is around 250 milliliters. You can soak it first. You can leave it like this for around 2 hours if you want to, and it will soften up and reduce the cooking time of the grains that we've added now to the pot. 1 cup millet, 1 cup bulgur. But you don't have to. So here, whether you soaked it or not, you're gonna notice like around 5 to 10 minutes difference in cooking time based on whether you soaked it or not. But let's say we didn't soak it and we put it on a stove and you put it on, and actually we're adding like 2 more cups of water now at this point. And we're gonna bring it to a boil first. In total, we're gonna use about 15 cups of water, just so you know. So we're at 10 cups now, and you will notice the grains expand, and you will see why we need more water.
So let's bring this pot to the boil now. You will notice this mixture getting thicker. The bulgur and the millet gets thicker now because it's almost done. In total, yeah, around 30 minutes to 40 minutes should be enough to get your bulgur sorted out. So we're boiling the millet and the bulgur, and it swells up while we're boiling. It's very similar to rice, where it absorbs the water while cooking and it becomes soft. So even when you put the stove off, you will notice it keeps absorbing some water for a while longer, getting thicker and thicker. Soon we will take this off. This is now completely ready for further processing into Boza. Tasty, soft, cooked, ready to eat. The next step is to get your hand blender ready, because we will soon blend it with the hand. We left it for a while, and that's what happens if you leave it for a while. It keeps swelling, keeps expanding. Now let's take it off the stove. First we add another cup of water, because as you can see it thickened more and more. And now we take the hand blender and we're gonna blend it until totally smooth. Blending is quite easy. You simply move around the blender and then make sure the entire mixture is finely, smoothly blended. It simply takes a few minutes. It's like maybe 5 to 10 minutes and then you're good to go. Hand blender is basically how everyone does this in Turkey as well. Pretty useful to have a nice hand blender. You could also use it, for example, when you make hummus and other Middle Eastern foods. But for now we're making our Turkish Boza, and the next step is to run the Boza mixture through a metal sieve. Plastic sieves don't work that well because you have to almost press the Boza through the metal sieve. The more coarse parts of the millet and bulgur will remain behind in the sieve. So in the end we're gonna scoop out the coarse bulgur and millet, but for now we wanna push through the liquid smooth Boza drink, because it is a drink. It's not exactly a porridge. It's more liquid than porridge, where you can eat it with a spoon. It's supposed to be more liquid. So we're pushing the Boza through the sieve to make sure we don't have coarse parts left in the final Boza drink. We want a smooth drink. So you move around the spoon in a metal sieve and you push down the Boza through the sieve so it can drip in your pot or container below. This is really straightforward. And then you get a mug now for the residue, the coarse residue, which you will eat for breakfast tomorrow morning. If you want to eat something healthy for breakfast tomorrow morning, because it's a lot of good fiber, healthy fibers in the coarse grains. Although it's not part of a liquid Boza drink, it's still great fiber snack for tomorrow. If you add some honey or maple syrup or brown sugar, don't throw this away. You could also use it for baking. For example, you're baking a bread, add some of this fiber Boza to your bread recipe or to your breakfast, your oats tomorrow morning. For now we want to work with this smooth Boza liquid. You leave it for a while, it becomes like this. It gets like a bit more thickened and clumpy again. So this is why we add even more water. Over here we're adding some more water, and then you have to stir the pot again a while. Get it a bit smooth again. This is really a water thirsty recipe because we are using grains to make a drink. We are not exactly making a porridge, although you could, but we are making a smooth liquid which we are going to ferment overnight for up to 24 hours. For the fermentation, you take half a teaspoon of instant yeast and mix it with a cup of water. So firstly we get some extra liquid in a recipe, which, as you can see up to now, the liquid is very necessary for the smooth liquid consistency. And you could even add some extra brown sugar now to this mix in the cup. The yeast feed on sugar, but there's also sugar already in the Boza, so you don't have to add the sugar already at this point. It can only help the fermentation along a little if you add like a tablespoon of brown sugar now already. And you are going to definitely need to add sugar anyway, either now before the fermentation or after the fermentation, because Boza is a sweet drink. The question, however, is how sweet do you want it? So I would say like half a cup of sugar, and then you could add more later if you, depending on your sweet tooth, but as a bare basis I would say like half a cup of sugar, brown sugar, dark sugar, not white sugar. White sugar not healthy. White sugar toxic. Dark sugar has some mineral residues left in the sugar, but white sugar is stripped of all nutrients. So there is some brown sugar, and here is some light muscovado sugar, which means it still has some molasses inside. A lot of natural healthy components in the light sugar. It's not stripped of nutrients. The light muscovado sugar. Adding some brown sugar again, so we're using about half a cup just as a bare basis. I mean, I don't have much of a sweet tooth, but for me like half a cup is good enough to begin with. So at this point the balls are already fermented. The fermentation is basically overnight. It's, let's say, 20 to 24 hours or so. It depends how the temperature is outside. For example, in the middle of winter, the fermentation will take longer because cold temperature means less fermentation. While moderate temperatures, like let's say around 17 degrees Celsius, for example, summer temperatures will encourage fermentation. In the summer, this will be fermented in about 18 hours, but in the winter, fermentation can take much longer. You definitely want to ferment it outside of the refrigerator because the refrigerator's cold will stop the fermentation. Not completely, but to a large degree. So in the winter, you're looking at around 24 hours fermentation, depending how cold it is. And ideally, your house will not be that cold inside. So, because if it's still slightly warm inside, it will help along the fermentation of your boza. Now, to finish off this drink, we're gonna add some cinnamon on top in the same way they do it in Istanbul in Turkey. And we also add some roasted chickpeas, which you can either buy pre-packaged or you can roast it yourself in your air fryer. Roasting chickpeas, it's really easy. If you have, let's say, a tin can of chickpeas, chuck it in the air fryer or in the oven, roast it. But I mean, these pre-packaged chickpeas are also very nice, pre-roasted, nice and crunchy. Great snack, and you put it on top of your boza. This is how they serve it to you in Turkey at the boza cafes. Enjoy your boza and leave the rest in your refrigerator for another day or two, but eventually it's gonna keep fermenting in the refrigerator, so you can't keep it forever. Keep that in mind and have a nice day, further.